Usually in the Buddha Sutra, we talk about the five skandhas. The five skandhas or the five aggregates. 照见五蕴皆空蕴. The five aggregates, the five skandhas. And usually sutra mention skandhas, and they don't get into detail as to what actually are these five skandhas, the five aggregates. We need to know them, especially in the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra says that if we can contemplate and insightfully know the five skandhas and contemplate accordingly with wisdom, we'll be able to relieve ourselves from sufferings finally. 照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄. So, but in this approach, the Vijnana approach, the consciousness only approach, not only do we touch on the five aggregates, we also need to go into detail as what each aggregate is. So the five aggregates: material, perception, conception, volition, and consciousness. Material, materiality, material. As an individual, as a sentient being, we are made up of two conglomerated aggregates, whatever you want to call it, as body and mind. We are body and mind. Not only do we have a body, we also have the mind. But very important. Without a mind, this body is useless. Without the body, this mind is not able to find expression of the body. So that you can say, which is more important? They're both important. We need both of them to be an individual. But in that individual, what is our problem? We have an ego problem in there. So let's analyze it bit by bit. So we are material, perception, conception. Perception is in the front end, where our senses are in contact with the outside world. We'll get into detail. We'll get into detail on this side. What are these? Perception, and after we have perceived the outside environments with our senses, we conceptualize them. We stereotype them. We look at them with distorted opinion. We look at them with an internal commentator. We look at them with bias. Where does this bias come from? From our background, from our karmic energy that has been brought forward from previous life. Volition. Volition is after you perceive them, after you conceptualize them, analyze them, investigate them, stereotype them, discriminate them, you come into action or speech. And all these things get stored into your alaya consciousness, which is the storage consciousness, which is unending, which is immeasurable. We have a storage consciousness inside of us that stores all the information like a computer with the memory. All this memory will store as much as you want. The computer's memory is limited, but our storage consciousness is unlimited. We've been brought forward from previous life. With this storage consciousness, we reincarnate with the storage consciousness. And that storage consciousness is inconceivable, imperceptible. You can't see it, you can't feel it. It's not perceptible to the senses. It's just been carried forward, like in the form of energy. Let's concentrate on this without going into too deep, okay? Because it's just a review. All right. Then we further break it down into our senses, material, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. And that embraces everything about you with the perspective of materiality. We know we have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. Body includes what is internally inside of you, the internal organs. Your heart, your kidney, your spleen, your intestines, your You name them. I don't know, 36 important matters and organs inside of you. So why did the Buddha point out particularly eyes, ears, nose, tongue? And why didn't the Buddha just say body? Because through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, you perceive the world. And it is through perception that all these environments get into us. And that's how our consciousness works. And in the meditation, before you even know how to cross your leg, you should know how your mind works. Usually in a meditation session, they tell you how you cross your leg, how do you do your posture. That is not important. The mind. You have to study the mind first before you even know how to cross your leg. All right, so that's what we've been talking about for months. And then when eyes interact with objects, we have the visual consciousness, the visual consciousness, ears with auditory consciousness, nose we have olfaction, consciousness, tongue, taste consciousness, body, tactility. Tactility means how your body touch the external world, not just external world body touching, how your internal organs work. It includes not only touching, because sometimes in some explanations, commentary, they say it's the touch, not just the touch. All the circulations, your body, that's the tactility consciousness, the touching. Touching, that means interaction. A one-sided touch has no interaction. So the body means everything about you, materially. And of course, we well know that everything about our body is sunyata, is empty. Why do we say empty? Because it arises on conditions, it is fleeting, it is short-term. Your body is short-term, it's not it's not permanent. And your body is made up of all these conditions and causes put together and work together so that you have the body. If you're unhealthy, you don't have a good body. If you die, the body disintegrates. So this body is not you. This body is not you. But you recognize this body as you egoistically. That's the problem. Let's analyze the problem. So mind, we have the mano consciousness, the manas consciousness, and the laya consciousness. The mano consciousness is the manager, the control, visual, auditory, olfaction, taste, and tactility. That's the manager. The mano is yi shi, what is behind all this and working in the body to interact with the outside world. And then the manas is your ego, which work in conjunction with your mano, with the manager. And the laya is, of course, the storage consciousness. That we have explained, we have spent a lot of time in explaining. It's just a review for those who come here for the first time, that you may not know what we're talking about. You need some background information. All right, now let's go on. Other than the 8 consciousnesses, we also have concomitant mental functions which work simultaneously in the same time with your consciousness. In other words, when your eyes see, when your ears listen, when your tongue tastes, it's not just this consciousness. It works automatically, simultaneously with some mental functions inside your storage consciousness. You may not even know about it. And we have talked on one lecture on the generally interactive functions, which is your attention, contact, sensation, perception, and volition, how they work. This is omnipresent. That means it is in you. Everything you see, these interactive functions already help you to see. Without attention, you don't know what you see. Without attention, you don't know what you listen. You just listen, but you don't know what you listen. Without contact, you can't even have the consciousness. Without sensation, you know what is pleasurable, what is unpleasurable. So the general interactive functions are the universal functions that everyone has, no exception. Unless at that time you don't pay attention. If you don't pay attention, you don't know what you're eating. You eat, but you don't know what you're eating. If you don't pay attention, you don't know what you're seeing. If you don't pay attention, you don't know what you're listening. If you have general interactive functions, the 5 of them work together at the same time when your senses function. And then there's also the particular functions. Some people may have it. Some people may have stronger particular functions. Some people have weaker. It depends on your level, on your wisdom, on your background, on your karmic energy. For example, desire. Some people may have the wrong desire. Some people may have a right desire. Your desire to be better, your desire to have drug addictions, your desire to be an alcoholic, your desire to involve in sensory pleasure. So those are the wrong kind of desires that we get into trouble. Your desire to be compassionate, your desire to be a good student, your desire to something benevolent. That's a good desire. So that particular functions, it differs from individual to individual. So those are the 5. Desire, resolve, mindfulness, concentration, and intelligence. Now, we already have talked on them for hours. I would like to remind you on those, because you cannot understand Buddhism if you don't understand these. It's not just about prostrating and offering flowers and chanting. You have to know your own self, how your mind functions, so that you know what you're meditating on, so that you know how did the Buddha purify his mind to get into enlightenment. That's very important. And in this session, what we'll be talking about is unwholesome functions. When our sensory organs work, when we are interacting with the outside world, there are 26 unwholesome functions helping us to perform, helping us to speak, helping us to think. 26 unwholesome ones. And of course, there are 11 wholesome ones. But let's touch on the 26 unwholesome one first, and then we'll get into the wholesome ones. In other words, every thought, all these 26 ministers inside of you help you to perform. They are unwholesome. They're no good. But you have them in this life and in previous life, and if you're not enlightened in this life, you carry them into the next life. Okay, so should we look at all these friends that we have? We call them friends, but they're not, they're malicious friends. They're not benevolent friends. They're not your good friends, but you befriend with them naturally, simultaneously. You may not notice them. That's why you have depression. Depression is your friend. When it comes up, he's your friend. You can hate him, because then hatred comes up again. Another friend comes up again. You don't want to reject them, because the friend of rejection, anger, comes up again. You have to allow it to come up and let it go. You have to learn to live with it. Be kind on it, and let it slowly disintegrate. Don't hang on to it. Don't feel angry about it. Don't feel hatred about it. Just accept it and let it disintegrate. Embrace it. All right, let's get on to these unwholesome functions. All right, unwholesome functions, we say we have 26 together, but we have 6 very basic roots. Greediness, anger, ignorance, arrogance, doubt, and false view. Those are the basic. And then we also have the primary. These are the primary friends. Don't tell me you don't have friends. You have a lot of friends inside of you, working with you in your mind to help you to perform. Disbelief, laziness, indolence, thoughts wandering, torpor, forgetfulness, distraction, false understanding. And then we also have 2 medium friends, shamelessness, no guilt. We also have all these secondary ones. They are secondary not because they are unimportant. They are secondary because you may not notice them. They are very skillful. They are very mean and skillful. Hatred, vengeance, vexation, jealousy, harm, parsimony, pride, concealment, flattery, and deceiving. And more people have mental disorder. And of course, the doctors define them in a certain way, like depression, bipolar, or manic phobia, or anxiety, fear, and all that. Actually, they are a conglomeration, a combination of all these. They work together. It depends on where you put the weight to. It depends on how heavy are these, how strong are these friends that you've got in there. But don't hate them, because initially you like to live with them. You bring them up. If you hate them, you build up another friend, and that's what we call hatred. If you're angry with how come you got that, you have another friend coming up, and that is called anger. Let's analyze every one of these. Let's get into greediness. What is greediness? Greediness is a strong affection for and attachment to the five aggregates. Attachment to materiality, perception, conception, volition, and consciousness. You're attached to your body. Greed is associated with wealth and status. Lust is associated with sensory pleasure and satisfaction. You have that greediness brought forward from your previous life. And it is extremely strong. You love it. You already have fallen in love with it. You can't live without it. You may not know about it until maybe you read a sutra. At that particular moment when you're reading the sutra, you say, oh yeah, I should get away from greediness. And then suddenly you say, I shouldn't be greedy. I hate myself for being greedy. Then hatred comes up. I'm angry at my greediness. Then your friend of anger comes up. I'm fearful. Then your friend of fear comes up. I have anxiety. That comes up. So anger, hatred is associated with displeasure and dissatisfaction, characterized by imposing harm and not being benevolent to others. You have anger. You're angry about it because during your childhood you have child abuse. Your dad is an alcoholic. He beat you up most of the time when he's drunk. And you hate it. You have a lot of anger towards your dad, towards all those who are involved with alcoholic. In a lot of cases, to put your anger into action, you're harming others. And of course, there are a lot of cases where alcoholics or, prostitutes or criminals being murdered by others. It's because of the anger. They subject them to the anger. So anger, it's your basic friend that's in you. Ignorance, absence of proper knowledge and information, lack of intrinsic awareness. Ignorance is different from stupidity, Stupidity may flow from ignorance, but you are intelligent, but you may be ignorant. You are very intelligent, but you are ignorant of the right way. You are, I already have given the example in the last Dharma talk. You are an intelligent scientist of chemistry. You invented a method and chemical procedures to change all the grease in the gutter into edible oil because you are extremely intelligent, but you are stupid. You know why? Because you're hurting a lot of other people. Scientists are very intelligent, but they're not doing it in the right way. Scientists may invent bombs that destroy other countries. So stupidity relates to ignorance from the perspective of morality. But you could be extremely intelligent, but you are ignorant. So ignorance, absence of proper knowledge and information, the right view, you need to know the right view, lack of intrinsic awareness. And the next is arrogance, an attitude of superiority manifested in a presumptuous manners due to self-aggrandizement. You have an ego, using slang, you're cocky. You think you're the best because you have an attitude of you're more superior than the others. Because you are inferior, you feel inferior, that's why you want to express that you are superior. So superiority and inferiority, they always hand in hand. Doubt, afflicted indecision, uncertainty of mind, that which causes hesitation with regard to the Four Noble Truths, etc. Doubt, you're doubtful of the right view. Not just of the right view. You're doubtful of anything that is not in the path of your own thinking. False view is usually egoistic views. Now these are just generalizations of our basic mental afflictions or mental functions. Two kinds. One is you're born with them. The other, you acquired it in the present life. There's two categories. For those you acquire in your present life, they are easy to get rid of. With meditation, with proper teaching, with your own contemplation. But those you brought forward from previous life are very difficult to get rid of. It's like your clothes. All those dirts that you accumulated in your clothes yesterday are easy to get rid of. All those you brought forward from a long, long time ago, they already are ingrained in those textures. It's very difficult to get rid of. But still, the Buddha tried, and many saints tried, they were successful in getting rid of them, in purifying their karma. So can you. So can we. We can do this. According to what the Buddha said, we can do it. It's difficult, but we can do it. Don't give up. So these are the basics, are the root mental afflictions. That every thought comes up, you have these that instruct you how to react. Your greediness, your anger, your ignorance, your arrogance, your doubt, your false view. You may not even notice them. They're there. You may not even notice. Next, the primary ones, disbelief. The lack of faith, disbelief towards the Dharma, whatever is right, laziness, slackness, sloth, absence of energy, indolence, absence of attitude, mental fogginess, thoughts wandering, restlessness, non-calmness of mind, torpor, sleepiness, drowsiness, forgetfulness, inability to guard mind from mental affliction, lack of intrinsic awareness. You are not able to guard your mind from mental afflictions. When your senses are interacting with the outside world, you only respond to them with emotions. When something touching, you cry. When something you feel that you're helpless, you cry. You cannot guard your mind from being attached to those emotional afflictions. Because your forgetfulness of your own guarding techniques. Distraction, dissipation of mind, such as attachment to parties, games, sensory pleasures. You may not even know about it. You like games and you were involved with games. I have seen kids who spend 5 hours per day on the games and the internet. And some kids were involved with things that they shouldn't watch because they're being distracted. They're obsessed with them. They may not even know about them. Even adults. How are you obsessed, addicted to what you're seeing? On certain channels, on certain, you name them. You're obsessed with them. You cannot get away from it because you don't put a second thought, hey, should I do it? Stop. I should stop that. I should stop my crying. I should stop my anxiety. Or I should watch it and don't get involved with it. When emotion comes, you have to step back and watch it. Don't let it overwhelm you, but don't hate it. Don't repel it. Just let them come and let them go. I'm going to give a talk in Hong Kong, and the topic I was given next week, as a matter of fact, was how to use the right view to get out from mental afflictions and anxiety, or from depression. And usually we like the word depression. How do we get the right view at the same time when we're having a depression? If we understand all these, we're in a better position to get the right view, because we know all our friends, our bad friends. Don't hate them. You brought them in. Just let them come and let them go. Medium mental functions, shamelessness, no guilt. What's the difference between shamelessness and no guilt? Shamelessness, feelings that are related internally to yourself. You're not being shameful in your mind. You've done something really wrong, but you don't admit it internally in you. No guilt is, I don't care what the society has to say. I don't care about my mom, my dad, all these other members. As long as I like, I can do whatever I want as long as I like. No feelings that are related externally to the society. Not being shameful in front of others, and not being afraid of any punishment, criticism for the wrongs committed. So you see the difference? Shamelessness is internal feelings. So if you find someone who say, I'm sorry, you should accept it. Don't say, I don't accept your excuse. I don't accept your, you should accept it, because he's shameful in what he's doing. And that's a good start. If he's afraid of society's punishment, afraid of other people's punishment, that's good, because he really feels guilt. Secondary ones, hatred, anger expressed through action and speech. That is more in a violent situation. You have hatred, the anger that is expressed. Vengeance, hidden. Enmity flows from hatred. Vexation, malice, flows from both hatred and vengeance. Jealousy, the mind unable to bear the excellence of others. Some people can't stand other people's excellence. Give an example. The other day there was a lady who told me that I felt, she said, I felt very bad for my son. And I was not feeling comfortable for the whole day. I said, what makes you uncomfortable? He said, I call up Mrs. So-and-so, and we have a chat, and I found out that her son got into Harvard. And my son got very low mark. He couldn't even get into UBC. He's only have a C. And I feel that I don't feel comfortable. How come his son is so good and my son is so bad? I'm jealous. A jealousy comes up in me, and I just don't feel comfortable that her son can get into Harvard. So it's jealousy. You can't stand the excellence of others. So that is naturally inborn in you, that you have that jealousy. You have to learn how to get rid of it. When somebody is doing well, you really wholeheartedly say, that's great. I wish I can do the same thing too. But I'll try. That your son has gone into Harvard, congratulations. I'm sure he can be successful. Harmlessness, harmfulness, the hostility that is expressed through deeds and words harming others. Parsimony, avarice of the mind that is opposed to either spiritual or material giving. Parsimony. A lot of people, they don't believe in giving out. They always want to receive. They don't donate a penny. They always want to get benefits. They don't want to be ripped off, using a slang. They only want to rip off others because they think by ripping off others, they are smarter. That's parsimony. The more you give out, the more it bounces back to you. Learn what you can get. Learn not you can get from the country, from the government. Learn how you can give to the government, how you can give to other people, not what you can get from them. Have you worked with a boss who is tough? The boss pay you $12 an hour? You say, I don't want to give more than $12 an hour in my work. He only give me $12. He ripped me off. I'm better than $12 per hour. So you work only about $8 an hour, you think, that's about right. So when your boss is away, you're slacking off. And then you will discover, and you got fired. There's one scenario. There's another scenario, this worker has said, oh, yeah, he paid me $12 an hour, but I'm better. I want to prove that I'm worth $30 an hour. I put in a lot of my efforts. I put in my intelligence. I put in my diligence. Everybody knows that's a good worker because he always work overtime. He's always so conscientious. He don't really care that his boss ripped him off. And it happened that his boss is so intelligent too. And they said, hey, you're worth 30. I'm going to pay you 30 tomorrow. I don't want you to leave our company because you're worth 30. You're not 12. You see the two scenarios? One is parsimony in his energy. The other is generous in his energy. He just wants to contribute. So the more you give out your smile, give out your kindness, give out to your courtesy. It all bounces back to you. Give out your compassion. It bounces back to you. Pride, joyful contentment arising from one's well-being and from downgrading and trivializing others. You always want to trivialize others, right? Your comrades, your colleagues, they're doing so well that you're so jealous of them and you want to trivialize them, downgrade them, tattletelling them. What is he all good about? He's cheating. He just wants to butter up his boss. That's what you think. He works so hard because he wants to butter up. Not necessarily. He's giving out, giving out. You can do the same thing. All these friends, you can improve on them. You can change them just as much as you can change yourself. Educate them. Turn over a new leaf. Change all these friends into benevolent friends. They're not hopeless. They can be changed. Concealment. Hypocrisy in hiding and being reluctant to recognize one's own faults. You want to conceal it. Flattery, the act of praising someone, often in a way that is not sincere because you want something from them. Deceiving, the act of cheating someone in order to obtain gains and honors. All these 26 mental functions, some people are strong in some and weak in others. You brought forward all these from your previous life. Some of these, you're inborn with them. They have been with you for millions of years. And it's not easy to change them. But there's hope. As long as you know how to, first of all, don't reject them because you build them up yourselves. Why did you go through all this pride, all these situations that you dislike? Why do you have anger? Why do you have all these? because you cultivated causes for them to come up. In other words, you build up your own karma that makes you suffer or enjoy in this life. So don't blame others. You have been building up all these friends yourself. The Buddha said, they come together because of causes. You can dissipate them using causes. Your compassion, your wisdom, your practice, in your thought, in your action, in your speech, you can change them. So I have gone through these 26 mental functions. And for those who have anxiety, depression, fear, hatred, anger, now you know. In your meditation, when they come up, what do? I just give a cram course for the next 5 minutes in how to deal with them. How do you deal with these friends? How do you deal with them? They're so akin to your life. They're so close to you. They're as close to you as your breath, you know. Is your breath close to you? What did the Buddha tell us to do when we're meditating? We're meditating on our breath, right? We're meditating on the closeness of these friends so that we know all of them. When we know them, we're in a better position to change them. When you don't even know them, how do we change them? So what's in a cram course, a 5 minutes course, when my anger comes up, when my jealousy comes up, when my depression comes up, when my emotion comes up, what do I do with them? What do? I just let them come. Because it has come already. I don't cry, I don't reject them, I just watch them, accept it. Because that's the kind of friend that you cultivate for a long time. Accept it, but watch it, don't go with them. Because they come in your first thought. In your first thought, you feel angry. In the first thought, you feel jealousy. It comes. But you have to learn how to step back and look at it. Don't get carried away with it. When you carry away with it, your second thought goes with them. Then you're trapped by your friend. Just step back, look at it, and say, I don't hate you. I have been befriending you. And now let's work on a program to change one another. So you watch it and say, I accept it, but I want to change. I accept it. I let go of it. First is to let go. Take a deep breath. I don't want to be jealous. I want to stand back and look at my jealousy. I want to stand back and look at my depression. I want to stand back and look at my anger, my fear, my anxiety, my bipolar sensation. I want to look at them. And then, what do? Let it sit still. Let it sit still means letting go of it. Don't let it involve you. And then at the same time, you gear your thought to something else. Don't hang on to your friend. What do? You watch the breath. You take a deep breath, and your breath in, your breath out. Change your second thought to another object, not to the attention of your friend. Not to jealousy, not to hatred, not to anger, not to pride, not to arrogance. Change your second thought to this in and out breath and in and out breath. That's how you train your mind to get away from bad friends. Don't hate your friends. Don't kill your friends. Don't be angry with it. Just step back and get to another object of attention. That is the breath, in and out, in and out. Train that. Once you train it for a long time, you won't go with your friend anymore. And they will come up all the time. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you just mix with it. Your second thought of getting away from it and concentrate on your breath may not come. You'll carry away with it. For the second thought, third thought, fourth, fifth, sixth, don't worry, just come back again. It's just that monkey has been many, many miles away, but still it's already on your leash because you know that you don't want to get involved with depression. You don't want to get involved with anger. Just that angry monkey has gone away, you slowly put it back and watch your breath again. That breath is your object of focus to gear all these sensations into just this. That's what the Buddha told us. This is the technique. And once the technique, you are so efficient with the technique, then wonder comes. Because you are in control. You're not in control right now. You're in control. You have the mindfulness. That's what we call mindfulness. You're not mindful, but now you have the mindfulness. You're able to step back and look at things. You don't mix up with these friends anymore. So in a 5-minute cram course, that's the only thing I can offer you. There's more and more in it. How to get away from this. First of all, you have to understand all these. Understand your situation. It's just like a case of solving problems. When you have problems, you need to analyze that case. See all the facts, analyze it, find out all the causes for it. And once you know, identify the problems. Identify your problems, introduce techniques to solve the problem, then the problem is solved. But you have to identify the problems first. You have to recognize your problems. Don't mix with them. It's in the same way, don't mix with your pleasure. When you get into YouTube, all these funny, those good things to see, you're being obsessed with it. You can't get back because you're obsessed with it. You haven't identified your problem of obsession. You stand away from it. I got to stop. That's the reason why there's another technique the Buddha told us. Chanting a mantra. For those who always have the sensuous pleasure, acquisition desire, you can't get away from, to be just outspoken. You can't get away from the porno that you're seeing because you're so obsessed with it. You immediately chant that anti-porno mantra and you get away from it. Because with the help of Bodhisattva, there are beings there who are ready to help you. You got to know the mantra. You got to know her phone number. Call up for help. Call up Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva for help. Call up Siddhagarbha Bodhisattva for help. Call up the Buddha for help. How do you call him up? What's the phone number? That's the mantra. When you chant that mantra, that's the phone number. You keep on chanting, forgetting about your first thought of hatred, your first thought of depression, your first thought of jealousy, and replace it by that mantra, by that phone line. And then that light will come in to illuminate your ignorance in attaching to it. Is it easy? No. Because you even forget about the phone number. You forget the phone number. When you're obsessed with it, you forget the phone number. Because it's not ready in your mind. So you got to learn that mantra.